Today's show brought to you live from Lounge Media Group Studios. It's Pedro and the Freight Hound with the Logistics Lounge. The views and opinions expressed on this show by its guests are not necessarily those of Lounge Media Group or the show host. So if you sue someone, make sure it's the party responsible for hurting your feelings. Also, grow up, be an adult, and understand not everyone thinks like you. And that's okay.
What's good, Pedro?
What's good, Mr. Hound? How you doing, brother?
Feeling a little sick, a little under the weather.
Are you?
This freaking the allergy season's killed me. I think I broke my foot, but we're thriving.
Damn.
Okay, yeah. How are you doing?
Man, I was gonna ask you about your foot after that. How did you have you gone and got your foot checked out?
No,
No.
I've just stayed off of it the past couple days.
Yeah.
Swelling's gone down, but
Well, that's good, bro. That's
yeah,
good. I mean,
let it just get
hope it gets better. Don't be a typical guy and wait too long and wait till gangrene sets in and then you decide to
oh,
go
dude,
in.
I went on a 4 mile walk the very next day, so you just got to work through it, man.
I feel you, man. Probably just spraying that shit. But damn, dude, them allergies be kicking your butt. You should go to an allergist, man. Get yourself tested, man. I don't know how much it costs, but I think it's like $200 or whatever.
I just need to go. I ran out of my allergy meds. Just haven't had a chance to go to Publix and get some new ones, but whatever. That's Nashville for you.
Yeah, I feel you, bro. We're getting it down here. Cedar's what kicks our butt down here, so I
Yeah.
feel you with that, dude. But I'm all right, man. Good week, good start to the week. Just doing the thing, moving some freight. Got a new customer, and yeah, man, just chilling, getting ready, getting ready for Texas Trucking Show, man. Telling you, if you are going to be around the Houston area, the weekend of the 21st, 22nd of June, go to the Texas Trucking Show. It is free. I will be there. I'll be walking around, doing some interviews. I'll be giving out some VIP passes to an after party that Mr. Hound and I are collaborating with the Greater Houston Trucking Association at Kirby's Ice House. So going to be an absolute phenomenal time. I think we're going to have some swag to hand out from sponsors and affiliates too. So, yeah, come find me, get some VIP passes to the after event, and hopefully some swag.
Hell yeah.
Can't wait for that, dude. I'm serious. I get so hyped up when it comes to going to shows, bro.
When is it again? The end of June?
21st and 22nd, I think. Don't let me lie to you. Yeah, 21st, 22nd. I'll be there. I'll be there the 20th because Van's going to be there, and so is like Truck Parking Club and CDL Live. And I've already talked to all of them, and they said they'll help me get in so I can get like behind the scenes footage and stuff of everything being set up like I did last year, which that shit was so fun, man.
Hell yeah. I'm jealous. Be a
Yeah,
good time though.
it will be a good time, brother. I can't wait, man. I enjoy it. I enjoyed it last year, and I know I'm going to enjoy it again this year.
StreamYard just kicked us off Instagram. What the
Yeah, I
hell?
don't know what happened. I just removed it. I'm not even going to mess with it again. So I think it's because I hooked it up and then I exited out of the window before we actually went live, like
I
a
don't know.
day
It
back.
should work. But
Yeah.
whatever.
It's whatever. It's one show. It's going to be all right. I still got to figure out how to archive them to there, so that way it saves them because it deletes them after we stop the show. But anyway, so that's it. That's the week. Ready to get some news and then get to our wonderful guest here.
Let's do it.
All right. Lounge Media News is always brought to you by AR Doc Pro and sourced from truckingnewshub.com. Got an update here about the Green River Tunnel in Wyoming. Everyone, I'm sure, is aware of what happened earlier this year in the Green River Tunnel with the accident happened and explosions, and some lives were lost and quite a bit of damage was done. But very important artery for moving freight and just traffic in general. So I want to give everyone an update, and here it is. May 27th, during a special meeting via Zoom, Wyoming Transportation Commission awarded 2 emergency repair contracts to 2 different companies as the state itself works on reopening the Green River Tunnel after the massive pileup that happened in February, again involving multiple semi-trucks and POVs. According to Wyoming News, the company Holophane, maybe pronouncing that wrong, was awarded a $1 million emergency contract for tunnel lighting equipment and to replace damaged lighting fixtures. Second emergency contract was awarded to Bernardi Construction for $753,000. Their project will include concrete repair and removal of current damaged lighting and says some media blasting of the tunnel lining in areas where no repair is required. So I'm assuming that's probably what they're doing here in the picture. For the last few months, Wyoming DOT, I should say, crews and consultants have been working to assess the extent of the damage in the tunnels. DOT engineers are currently working on final plans for permanent repairs The plans are expected to be complete and open for bids for contractors by early July. And they say they are working to complete repairs, and they have a timeline that would allow them to reopen the Green River Tunnel before the 25-26 winter season, which, pretty much starts, I think, like September-ish, October up there, give or take, something like that. So, yeah, they're looking to move pretty quick on this, which is good. We obviously saw this with, what was it, Hunter? I-40, right? Yeah. I-40. They moved pretty quick on getting that repaired. So, hopefully this will move along just like they plan it will, and everyone will have access again, on that route, because I'm sure whatever detour they got everybody going on probably sucks, because they're not. I can't hear your meter, just so you know, Hunter.
Yeah, can't be good. The detour.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, this thing's already in the middle of freaking nowhere. You know what I mean? So, and there are not a lot of roads in them parts of Wyoming, so I'm sure it's not a fun experience. But there we go. We'll keep y'all updated as we hear more. And hey, if y'all know anyone out there that is involved in the construction trades, maybe has a large enough company here, also maybe an opportunity for them to win some business. So, like I said, they'll start having those bids up for July. That's all I got. Got anything you want to add to that?
Good to know that's opening back up, or they're trying to. I'm honestly kind of surprised it's taking this long to get to this point, but I don't know how bad the damage was in there.
Yeah, I don't either, man. I would assume there's a lot more that comes into play with A, this being a tunnel, B, the area that it's in, and the geography surrounding it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, I'm sure there's probably a lot of, crazy stuff, crazy things that go into, whatever. And I'm sure this accident wasn't a short thing to investigate. They may have cleared all the wreckage out, dude, but insurance companies and law enforcement, something this size, I would assume the investigation for this, probably was, a month or more long.
Yeah, for sure.
But cool, man. Good stuff there. Let's go ahead and get to our guest. So Mr. Matt Costello, everybody.
What's happening?
What's going on, brother?
Hanging in there. Appreciate you guys having me.
Man, we appreciate you coming on. We were supposed to get you back when the rest of the crew came on, but this is better because now we got 2 shows out of you guys, man. So welcome.
No, thank you so much.
How you doing, man? How's your day going?
It's good. It's it's pouring rain here, and that's funny, the comment there. It's pouring rain here in the metropolis we call Flowery Branch, Georgia.
Yeah, man. Nice. Y'all have got, I saw that storm starting to move through yesterday and develop, man. I actually think it came through us yesterday morning and made its way over to y'all.
Yep. But no, I can't complain. It's been, things are going smooth with Freightro, and we're growing. I'm excited to be here.
Wonderful. Well, we're just going to dig right into it, man, Matt, and we're just going to start you off as we do with every other guest, and that is, who is Matt Costello, and how did you get to be from athletics to logistics, from baseball to running a logistics tech company?
Oh man, I'll try to give you the Cliff Notes version, but so originally from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Went to 3 different colleges out of high school. I went to Iona College, which is now called Iona University. Played there for a year, then transferred to Volunteer State right outside of Nashville, and then became probably the only guy that was from New England to ever land at Valdosta State University down in South Georgia. And was drafted by the Milwaukee Brewers in 2009. Spent 6 years in professional baseball as a player, and then I coached at the professional level. I didn't make it to the big leagues, but played, was drafted by a big league team and played in their farm system for a few years and bounced around in independent ball before I decided I needed to get a real job. As now, one of the things that I pat myself on the back for kind of how I approached this. As I was going through my minor league baseball career, I realized that my baseball lifespan was kind of coming to an end, and I needed to start to put something else on my resume before I got trapped in baseball forever, which is a common thing. There's a lot of really intelligent folks that end up playing pro baseball, and then they get stuck in pro baseball until they're 30 years old, and then they've got nothing else on their resume, and then all they can do from that point on is coach or whatever, and it's hard to get rich coaching minor league baseball or youth baseball, et cetera. So I got into pharmaceutical sales right when I was done. When I hung it up officially, I got into pharmaceutical sales down in Florida. Didn't know much about the industry, but just threw myself in the weeds and figured it out, and got an offer to work for, this was in 2017 after I was in pharmaceutical sales for a couple of years. Got offered a job as a business development rep for a startup technology company out of San Francisco. The goal for this business, I won't share the name, but for some of the folks that know me that are listening, who it was. So the goal for this business was essentially to become the Amazon of business to business, right? So if you think about Amazon as a marketplace, it's a direct to consumer marketplace, right? You could go on Amazon and buy a pair of shoes and a phone case all within the same transaction, and they make it so simple to get that product shipped to you and have that transaction happen, right? And their, this company's goal was to create the same environment and experience, but for businesses that were transacting with businesses. And in 2018, this was after I had been with the company for about 6 months, I had mentioned to some of the leadership that, hey, if you think about Amazon, not only are they an e-commerce business, right, marketplace, but they're also becoming a logistics business, right? When you get to the checkout page on any online store, you get to the checkout page, you got to swipe a credit card, and then you've got to depict whether you want it shipped there on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, et cetera. And they're going to give you different pricing for when that product gets shipped, right? So during this conversation with our leadership at my previous company, I said, I think we could move faster if we create a digital freight mechanism that would attach to this shopping cart, right? And let's sell that first, and then try to upsell our way into making these customers that are using us for our freight technology, turn them into e-commerce users as well. So that was that business model, and I learned a lot along the way, right? This was in 2017, 2018. I didn't know much about transportation logistics at all at the time, and I just kind of threw myself in the weeds and figured it out. And we ended up hiring a handful of folks that had been in the industry with 3PLs for quite a while, and I learned everything I know from those folks. So fast forward to 2023. I felt as though I had an interesting mousetrap that I wanted to bring to the marketplace, and that's what Freightro has become and is still becoming. We're certainly not done building out all of the technology we plan on building, but we've got a nice. I think we're off to a very good start.
Pedro?
I was going to let you go ahead, lead, man.
All right. So, yeah, Matt, so obviously, you had a promising career in baseball, from college all the way up to the pros. Can you share some of the lessons or experiences from your time while playing baseball that, in your thoughts, would have significantly influenced your approach to business and, entrepreneurship?
So my approach with baseball, I was a 35th round draft pick. And for anybody that knows anything about, how the minor leagues go, for anybody that's drafted after the 5th round, they pretty much already written your plane ticket home at the time that they draft you, right? They're not planning on keeping you very long if you're a late round pick like that, unless the right guy gets hurt or unless a miracle happens and you magically start throwing harder or whatever it might be, right? So I was, I just worked my tail off. I mean, the minute, 3-4 years prior to getting drafted, I was in the gym every day for 2-3 hours. There wasn't going to be anything that stopped me from getting to where I wanted to go. My dream was always to see my name pop up on that draft board. And there was a lot of luck involved in that too. And seeing that come to fruition. But I was able to make that happen. And there is not there is for anyone that knows anything about minor league baseball, there is not a more cutthroat business than minor league baseball or professional baseball as a whole. Almost every single day you walk into that locker room and one of your buddies who you might have just met a week ago or a month ago just had a plane ticket put in their locker room, their locker to go home, and you might not see that guy again, and his baseball career might be over. And it's like every day you got if you don't put up good numbers for the time that you're there, you're gone, and you might only get one opportunity, right? So it's to be able to survive in that environment for 6 years, and the only team I was ever released by, or you could say fired by in the world of business, the only team I was ever released by was the Milwaukee Brewers. So that, I guess, again, there's a lot of luck that comes with that, or, in order to make that happen, I had a lot of things kind of go my way. For one, I was born left-handed. That doesn't hurt, being a left-handed pitcher. And at the time that I was drafted, I was in the, around 90, 91 miles an hour. Any lefty that's up, in the 90s with their velocity is going to be given a chance, right? In most cases. So yeah. Just the hard work and knowing my back was against the wall every single day. If you have that mentality going into anything, there's a good chance you're going to win. And that's kind of still how I carry myself every day here with, in business.
Like that.
That's a good answer, man. That's real good. And that's the thing that we try to highlight with little series and strings of guests like yourself. You and I had mentioned or talking on the phone, and we say it a lot on the show, people fall into logistics by accident. No one grew up wanting to be a freight broker, probably a truck driver, but no one wants to be a forklift driver. It all just happens how you get into this stuff, and a lot of the times that journey, there's skills and experiences that they translate over, and the things that you have from your first career, which logistics is usually person's second career, help folks immensely when it comes to logistics. And we feel especially things like the athletic world, things like veterans, law enforcement, people who are about being regimented or extremely structured, understand process, are about processes and implementing them properly, and are quick to adapt to change, because that is something that it happens every single day in our industry. Every day it's something different. Rates change, shippers change. You gain one, you lose one. Freight lanes, you know how it goes, Matt. You're in it, so it's nice to hear about how all those skills work to the benefit of how you get into logistics from being in athletics. And it's trying to think of the word here, a common theme with all the other pro athletes that we've had on, is the points that you made and stuff. So
for sure. And I would say, the world of logistics, it's certainly not for everybody. It's you've got to love it. And it takes a special kind of human being to really enjoy this stuff. And it's, I have just as much fun, building this business and being able to put forth, the work ethic and all that good stuff we just talked about a second ago, along with some creativity and bring this thing to life. And I have just as much fun doing this as I did, stepping on the mound in front of a couple thousand people and throwing a baseball. So it's been awesome.
Yeah. It's not, sometimes not as glorifying though, you know what I mean, and fulfilling every day like it was out there. I guess even if you lose, man, when you're playing in the big show, you're playing at that level, it's like, hey, I'm still here when, thousands of other people never got this far. In logistics, you fail, you just fail. You know what I mean? There's not always an upside.
Try not to make the same mistake twice.
That's true, man. That's true. This is business. You better learn very quick from your mistakes, or you're not going to make it very, very long. So, talking about the skills and everything that you learn, you kind of went over some of your characteristics, character traits, about the dedication and having the drive and all that stuff, but what about things, like your teamwork, handling pressure, being a strategic thinker, are those things as well that you pull into your legit stuff, and have those helped you being an entrepreneur and now a CEO?
For sure. So, again, I make a ton of baseball references, and I'm sure some of the folks that work with me probably get tired of hearing it all the time. But the world of baseball, especially, I mean, pitching in itself is its own game, right? And hitting in itself is its own game. And anybody that's ever coached or played this, played the game for a long time has heard this. It's a game of adjustments, right? It's like every day you go out. It's almost like golf, right? You go out and you might shoot 80, and then the next day you feel like you've got it again, and you go out and shoot 100, and you can't figure out why. You've got to be able to make that adjustment. Your body and your mind, can change so quick. And in the world of baseball, it's it's all about making those adjustments every single day, and it all translates very much to the world of business.
So what have been like some of the most surprising aspects of your journey so far as an entrepreneur or in your business career, I would say, outside of baseball?
Some of the most surprising aspects. Well, I mean, for myself, my partners to kind of set out to create this business, right? And it's a little bit of the wild, wild west. Our business model is pretty unique. Some folks might call it a little unorthodox, but it's this is something that I've always felt would work, and we're proving that now. It was just having the guts to be able to just go do it and give it a shot. And I had to take quite a big risk to get this, to get to where we're at right now. And we're not where we want to be quite yet, but we're well on our way. So yeah, just bringing it to life and making it happen, right? It's just every day waking up, and this is all I think about 12 hours a day. The only time I ever really take my mind off it is about from 5:30 to 8:30 when my kids are still awake and we got to feed them and get them to bed. And then my mind's right back on my computer or, answering emails, whatever it might be. So it's just never ending. I don't know if you'd call that a surprise, but it's just, again, just bringing it to life. If you got an idea and you want to bring it to life, go do it.
Oh yeah, man. So Matt, kind of want to move things, jump around a little bit here and talk some about where you're at now and the things that you're doing there and some goals and stuff that you may have. But you gave us a story of how you got kind of into the tech space and then kind of touched with logistics, with what you're doing with that one company, but leaving there, did you leave there knowing that you were going to start Freightro, or how did that idea and that kind of process happen?
So that was for the first 6 years that I was with that company. It was never my plan to leave. I wanted to take that company to the moon as well, and they had some change in plans and wanted to pivot back to just focusing on the e-commerce aspect of things. And I had spent 5.5, 6 years building a customer base that was primarily focused on the logistics aspect of what we offered as a business. And when I was starting to kind of catch wind of the fact that they were going to pull the plug on some of the things they were doing with a focus on logistics, that's when my wheels started turning, and I was like I'm not done yet. This is kind of, now that I've spent 5+ years focusing on logistics, that was where my heart was, and that was just where I wanted to continue my focus. And when I started to feel that that was no longer the focus of that business, I wanted to keep it going. So it was a quick pivot. It was a couple phone calls with my dad, and I'm like, man, should I do this? This is taking a leap. Probably gonna have to go quite a while without an income, and it's taking a risk. And my dad was like, if you feel like this is going to happen, it's going to work, make it happen. So here we are. I'm glad. I'm glad he was, I've always been a risk taker. And this was one that I think most would have probably never made, but here we are.
I think being an entrepreneur, period, is, obviously are people who are risk takers. I mean, that's what being an entrepreneur is, having your idea and thinking that it's good enough to bring it to the masses, and that eventually one day someone's going to pay you the money that you feel that it's worth, and you're going to sit back on your yacht drinking your mojitos and just enjoy the good life. So staying on Freightro, man, we just told us how how you decided to make the leap and everything, but what was that like? I mean, you said you had to make everything move fast or leave one place. You knew you had to get something else going. So I mean, did you already have the idea of Freightro and have the connections, or how was that? Was it going on Indeed, find these employees? Give us that idea of what it was like building this thing.
Yeah, the idea has been brewing in my head. Right, there was several things throughout my experience at my previous company that I was just like, man, I wish we instead of doing it this way, we could have done it that way, and it could have made things smoother for whatever reason, right? So I've had these ideas, I guess building up in my head, and I finally put them all on paper and was like, built a little slide deck, which I still have saved back before we ever hired designers and all that stuff. And I'll save that until we exit or whatever happens in the next 5 or 10 years, because it is pretty hilarious to look at that versus what we have now. These were ideas that I had tried to bring to life, and over the last 5 or 6 years when I was with my previous company, and when I decided I need to make the leap and just do this myself, it was not as it happened quicker than I thought it would. I thought it would have taken a few years to get to the point we're at right now, and we're almost at a point now where we can just pour gasoline on it, and it's going to scale. It's already scaling pretty quickly, but it's going to really pick up some speed here pretty soon.
Logistics grows fast, man. It does. Like this is one industry that, unfortunately, in some aspects, the entry is too easy. But if you know what you're doing, you got a good product idea, or again, you just know what you're doing, like i.e. broker, driver. This is an pretty easy industry to get into, man, and hit the ground running. As long as you're a fast learner and you learn from your mistakes very, very quickly, and you're able to adapt quickly with the changes that happen all the time, you can do really well for yourself, build yourself a good career in almost any space, that is either in or touches logistics.
For sure. Yeah, no, it's just, again, for me, the way I learned, I was never trained by anybody, formally when it comes to learning the ins and outs of transportation. It was more just making about 100 phone calls a day and learning what not to say after I said the wrong thing 100 times, just figuring out what the right thing to say was. It's just constantly throwing things against the wall, seeing what sticks. And now I've kind of, I wouldn't say I've got it fully figured out. There's still a lot that I'm sure I don't know, but I think we're on our way.
So I guess, obviously there's some challenges that come with, both being a professional athlete and a CEO. So how do you compare those challenges, and I guess kind of transfer it, from athletics to, fostering and founding a company like Freightro?
Every day there's a new problem that I didn't realize we were going to have to solve. And, I guess there's, as in the world of baseball, it's being able to, I'm not going to sit here and say every day is perfect and we don't run into problems that we don't, that we know how to solve right off the bat. And there's certainly instances where we fail and we have to make an adjustment, right? But I think one thing that translates well from athletics at the college level, the pro level, whatever it might be, even the high school level, you're going to fail, right? And it's being able to erase those failures from your brain and just find a way to, not let it, not let yourself dwell on those things, I guess, you could say, because it can cause you to lose some sleep. And it has. I'm not going to sit here and say that hasn't happened to me, because it has. But it's, I think a lot of those just getting beat up and being able to get back up on your feet and keep going it's the same thing from, sports to business. And it never hurt. I feel like I'm pretty passionate about this stuff. It's something I wake up and look forward to, to going to work every single day, which is how I was with baseball. So having a passion for this stuff, you have to have a passion for this. If you, if I wasn't excited about this every day, there's no way I would have been able to get to where we're at right now as a group. And not to say that I hate to talk as if it's been just me to help, that's gotten us to this point. I've got a great team around me.
That kind of leads into the next question. How do you foster a winning team like you have at Freightro? I mean, and do you,
it's I've built a solid network of folks over the last few years, just kind of whether it's folks from 3PLs that I've met along the way, building this business or at my previous company, et cetera. So I've been able to pick out some winners that I've been able to have worked for me in the past that are now with Freightro. And yeah, we've got an awesome group. I feel like there's still a lot to be built, from a personnel standpoint. But yeah, I think we've done a heck of a job putting together the right team so far. And go ahead.
Oh no, let's finish. Sorry, I can say my thought.
No, I mean that's it so far. I mean we're still not even close to where we want to be from a personnel standpoint. But part of our business model is that we don't have that team in the corner of 40 ops people that are on the phone calling trucks all day, right? We built a very scalable business. The technology does most of the work for us, right? That there's still a couple hoops we got to jump through from an accounting standpoint. That we've got a couple new features coming out pretty soon. They're going to automate a lot of that. Yeah, it's I don't think we're going to need 500, 1,000 employees to get this thing to $1 billion company. It's I think we can get there with far less than that. So that was part of what got me excited about building this company. It's like there is a scalable way to put this together, and here we are.
Yeah, well, so I want to stay on this for a minute, and I kind of want to dig a little deeper on this the teamwork stuff, and touch on some Jesus word just left me. Some sames and differences. I cannot think of the term I'm trying to use right now. But
I'll say this, and this might spark some ideas, or on the question you were about to ask. Every single day, my team and I, we hop on a call. It's sometimes it's a 5-minute call. We're just drinking a coffee. We don't have anything interesting to talk about. Get off, right? In fact, we tell folks, like, if you don't have anything interesting to share with the group, don't even show up to the call. But pretty much all of us show up to that call every single morning at 8:30, and it's pretty much a recap on what happened the day before. What part of the technology did not go, work the way our customer wanted it to work, et cetera. We're constantly asking customers for feedback and our providers for feedback on how we can continue to improve that experience. And we've got our head of product development on that call with us every single day, talking through those things. So, there are massive improvements made quickly. And we are, I think every tech company says to their customers, give us your feedback or whatever. And, and they'll prioritize what gets done, et cetera. Our product team works incredibly fast at adding little modules into the system to continue to make it more user-friendly, et cetera. So there's a lot more of that to come too, which is exciting. We've got about a 170-page roadmap slide deck on features that our customers have asked for. And we put out probably 5 or 10 new features every single week. So we're moving fast. That's damn amazing and very rapid development, brother. Being in any tech space, that's the name of the game. You always gotta be bringing out the new, adding things that people want, taking away things that they don't. And always improving, offering a better service, and listen to your customers and that stuff, man. And I think that in the space that you're in, it's it's typical of tech. You can't get complacent and think that, man, I've got the perfect thing right now. There's no need to change this. Like, this is it. Just lock it down. You know what I mean? And we can just roll with this for the rest of forever. Because, things change. You talked about it, scalability. Where you're at now and the problems you're having now, or they're going good with your platform, are not going to be the same ones as you start to scale up and add more customers, add more providers, all of these things like that. So, it's amazing to hear that you guys are always on your tiptoes and, receiving that feedback and acting quickly to it. And as you are well aware, Pedro, there is not a one size fits all solution in the world of freight, right? Or in the world of B2B commerce, right? So I've been incredibly fortunate to be able to team up with the development team that we have. I honestly, coming into this, I had no idea how fast software could be built, right? I was, I just, based on my experience from my previous company, I had somewhat of an idea, but these folks that we have on our team have proven that we have the ability to pretty much customize our solution to fit every single one of our customers. Like not every one of our customers are given the same user experience, right? That's something we're proud to be able to say.
Oh yeah, brother. You should be proud to say that, man. Especially in being a small business like you are. I mean, you're out there making quite an impact, but you're doing it with a small team, and that's amazing. And you guys should pat yourself on the back, give yourself congratulations, toot your own horn, however you want to say it, for all the things that you're accomplishing, and how you're trying to bring something better to this to the game. Like I said, this is not a one size fits all, and a lot of the folks in your space, I would just say in logistics period, man, they try to find the one size fits all. They do exactly what I was just talking about. Let's find the way that we think works perfect, push that out to everyone else as the way, and make them buy into it, and just make it, I wouldn't say easy for us, but easy and profitable for us. So always adapting, always changing. That's definitely the way it is, I think, in life period, but most definitely in athletics and logistics.
For sure.
I do remember what I was going to say. So circle back kind of before we start to ending everything off here in the next 15 minutes or so. So circling back, we're talking about the team mentality, comparing things, similarities and differences with being a part of a team. Don't know what I know what your position was, but don't know what your role was on the teams you're on, if you were a captain or vice captain or whatever like that. But now here you are, the leader of the team, and in athletics, everyone is singular mission focused. Everyone knows the goal is to win the trophy, the pennant, the ring, the whatever you want to talk about. Everyone's job is focused just on that one thing. And now here you are, and everyone has the same skills. Everyone's a ball player, right? Like, we all do pretty much the same thing with just little minor tweaks depending on where we're positioned at the field. So, now here you are in a completely different industry. You're working around people, working with people that come from different backgrounds, may not have the structure, the drive, maybe even the team mentality that you have and you're used to. So, what do you do, man? And what are some things that you would put out to other entrepreneurs and leaders when it comes to being able to be diverse and building your team, and how you support them and keeping everyone focused on what your mission is now here at Freight Trail?
For sure. So when I was with my previous company, I was leading a team at one point of 30 plus individuals. And I've always tried to be a little bit of the, but I don't think for the rest of my career I'll ever stop selling. If I become Jeff Bezos, I'll still be selling my product, right? So I've always tried to become, somewhat of a pace setter, I guess you could say, right? And it's hard. At least this is how it was for me with baseball. If I had a coach at the pro level or at the college level that had never played at that level that I was at and trying to give me direction, I had a hard time listening to that person, right? So it's for me, I always try to prove to my sales folks or whoever around me that I'm, whatever goal we're out to trying to accomplish, I want to be the tip of the spear that goes out and gets it done first, so that I can show people how to do it, right? And prove to them that it can be done, and it can be done at this speed too, right? If I'm bringing in 5 or 10 new customers a month, why can't you, right? If I can, so that's as a team captain, in the high school, college years, et cetera. I used to set some audacious goals, with my coaches and my teammates, and whether it was individual or as a team. Hey, we're going to go out and win, as a high school team that only plays 25 games a year. We're going to go win 20 games this year, and I'm going to hit 400. And if I can do it, you can do it, right? And just trying to lift up the folks around me, right? And in between every single, if Chase Blackwood is listening, we used to play games in the dugout, right? In between innings and in between at bats, talking about, this is what I'm going to do next time I get up to the plate. I was a two-way player in college, by the way. I didn't mention that. I was a hitter and a pitcher in college, and just again lifting each other up, not trying to stab anybody in the back. It's we're here to win a ball game. We can't do it. Not one of us can do it individually. We have to do it as a group. So it's there's so many things that translate from sports to business, and that's certainly one of them.
And I like a point that you made here, man, when you were saying that was, and I don't think people caught it, but giving the individual goals to your team members, or maybe just to your departments. You know what I mean? Like I said, with a lot of sports and other things, man, it's one thing. We only got to do this one damn thing. Just everybody do everything you do to get this thing. But when you're in an industry where you are, the end goal is to get customers and grow the business, but IT has a different goal, has a different set of goals to reach the overall mission success. Sales and customer service, they all have a different set of goals to get there. And I think that is an important topic that I feel or that I've experienced, in my life, that a lot of leaders have missed out on, and is giving people individual goals. And I feel that makes them buy in more to the team, because when you give them a goal and say, hey, if you accomplish this, the team is going to be able to accomplish more because of this. So now you are giving them personal ownership over something. And the only similarity I can use, and I think it's has a lot of strong similarities, is military. You know what I mean? A big thing about that is ownership over what you do. Hey, this is your duty. This is your job. You do it the best you can. And if you do your job, all the rest of us are going to be successful because of the effort and the abilities and talent that you brought to the team. So that was a really, really good thing that you said. I don't know if you caught how important that was, or if anyone else did, but I think that is a very good thing, man, for you to pull out and push on your team. And I know several of your teammates. We had them on the show, and they all had nothing but good things to say about you, Matt, and how much they love working for you, man. So even though I'm not employed by you, I can definitely vouch and say I've got firsthand knowledge that everything you are putting out here to us and the advice and things that you're giving, you actually do implement and put in your business, and your employees, your team, man, they freaking see it, bro.
For sure. Yeah, no, I appreciate the compliment. We try to set we try to set out, we have short-term goals, right? We have a goal that we're after right now as a group, that we're trying to accomplish in the month of July. And everybody at the company knows that if we hit this goal, everybody's getting a bonus, even if they didn't contribute to the selling efforts that help us get there, right? We just we're here to have everybody kind of rowing the boat in the same direction, right? I don't know if I froze there. You guys still there?
No, you didn't. Sorry. We're both still working here. Sorry, this happens. I'm apologize. I told you this is organic, man. This is real time. Not only are we interviewing CEOs and former professional athletes, Hunter and I are freaking moving freight on this show while we do stuff. So you people you get a taste of it all with the Logistics Lounge, man. So sorry, Matt. I was literally sitting there thinking, oh shit, it's been 4 seconds. He's gonna think you.
So I guess my last question would just be, what advice would you give to other athletes that are considering transitioning into the business world, particularly into logistics?
I would say for baseball players, especially, because again, as I mentioned at the beginning of this, a lot of baseball folks, these are guys, some of these guys, I've got buddies that were 4.0 GPAs through college that stuck in baseball until they're 28 years old. And then, then it's like, okay, that light turns off and you're like, what do I do now? I don't know anything but baseball. I don't know. How do I get into the workforce at age 28, 29 years old? You end up taking an entry-level business development job, and at that point, you've got to climb the ladder quick to get caught up to your buddies that have been in the workforce for 8-9 years, right? Start getting that wheel turning a little bit before your baseball career ends. I'll say that. I failed to mention at the beginning of this. My first real sales job was in pharmaceutical sales, and that was after my baseball career ended. This one I'm not as proud of, but it ended up being a great experience for me, and it just taught me something else other than baseball. Before my baseball career ended, in the off seasons, I got a job at a car dealership. I sold cars. My first sales job ever. I sold cars, and I did it during my off season. Right, I was fortunate enough to get hired by a gentleman here in Atlanta that was willing to let me work 6 months out of the year during my off season, and then once baseball was ready to go again, I'd go back and play. And I did that for a couple of years, and that was just, again, I never at the time, and I obviously still don't, I didn't view myself as a lifer in that business. It was just a way to just learn something else, right? And right when my baseball career ended, it was like, okay, now I started interviewing for jobs with Oracle, and for, I had a few buddies that were making good money in pharmaceutical sales and software sales. So I was like, I gotta find a way to get into one of those industries. So I was again, fortunate enough to get a job offer for, selling pharmaceuticals down in Florida, moved down to St. Petersburg, and did that for a couple of years before I got into the tech space. So, I would say, do something else before your baseball career ends, so that you don't get stuck in baseball or whatever sport you're in at age 30. And, then it's hard to get your career kicked off at that age.
Damn it, son. Woo, let's go. All right. Last question about professional stuff. And then I want to talk about, some of your hobbies, one specifically, and how it pertains to the topic tonight. So before we do that, though, I want to ask, man, you talked about how, just talking about preparing yourself for leading sports, man. I love that. I've never played professional sports, obviously don't know any, but everyone that we've talked to on this show that's been a former professional athlete has said the same thing, that like they were smart enough to figure out a plan, but most people don't. Like they knew, man, this isn't going to last forever. Like I better have some type of backup. That said, looking back, man, is there anything different that you would have done in your baseball career to extend it, or to better prepare yourself for where you're at now? And thirdly, and I can repeat all these if you want me, and thirdly, is there anything in your time with being with Freightro and being an entrepreneur and a business founder that you would change that you think would make a difference from where you're at now currently with that?
So the first question, I think, was, is there anything about my baseball career that I would have changed?
Yes, to extend it or whatever you want to say, or make it better, I guess.
This is going to sound like I'm tooting my horn, and I don't mean for it to come off this way, but so I was a two-way player in college and through high school, right? I was an offensive player and I was a pitcher, right? What Shohei Ohtani does now, obviously, I'm not even close to who that guy. He's an animal, best player of all time. But I was an outfielder. I played a little bit of first base. I'm left-handed, so I played all the positions a lefty can play. I couldn't catch, couldn't play shortstop or any of the fun positions. But I to this day still hold my university's batting average record. I hit 462 with 11 home runs my junior year, but was drafted as a pitcher, right? And if I could go back to the day that I got that call from the Brewers in 2009. Just knowing how things played out, now obviously hindsight's 2020, but I would have said, I don't want to be a pitcher yet. I want to hit, because I was a better hitter than I was a pitcher. If you look at my numbers in college, they were good as a pitcher. I think I had like a 3.5 ERA my junior year, the year I was drafted. I think I had a 3.5 ERA. I don't even think I had a strikeout per inning. I think I had like 85 strikeouts and 95 innings, which is not terrible. It's not bad. But, most people that have those numbers at the college level don't even get drafted, right? The reason I was drafted was I was left-handed and I was throwing 90 miles an hour. But again, I think I was a better offensive player than I was a pitcher. And my dad said it since 2009. He still brings it up to me almost every time I see him. I wish he would have given hitting a little more of a shot. So that's one thing I would have changed is I would have put my foot down a little harder and said, let me try hitting first. And if that doesn't work, my arm still works. I can still go pitch. Let me see if I can hit 300 with a wood bat in my hand.
Oh, yeah. All right. So, Fratro, or the journey that you're at now, that you're on now, post baseball, anything that you think you would have changed massively, or done differently, or maybe, pushed forward or back or whatever to maybe put you better off where you're at now, or what?
I wish I would have started it sooner. I wish I would have done this 3-4 years ago, because it's moving really fast. And sure, that comes with challenges. There's growing pains with any business that goes through the different phases of growth. Yeah, if I could change anything about what we're doing here at Fratro, it would have been just get this business off the ground a few years ago, because there's a lot of folks that view us as, they bring up other names of tech, logistics tech companies in the industry, and they think that we're competitors of those guys. And for anyone that really knows what Fratro does, they understand that we're not. I don't know of a competitor that Fratro has. So it's I think we've got something really unique to bring to the market. It's one thing I was in this borderline brings me to tears when I think about this. It's awesome. Every time we show a demo of what Fratro is to a customer that we've been chasing down for weeks or a month, we finally get them on that call to see a demo. From that point on, they don't ignore us. They want to be they want to use Fratro. It's pretty cool, right? Something that this idea that we brought to life, and they, at first they're like, oh, you're just another TMS, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, you don't get it until you see it. Once you see it, you're going to like it. Once you use it, right? I was just saying this to Zach Diedrich earlier today. Our conversion rate for, loads quoted versus booked in the last week is over 95%. I mean, everybody that puts a load into Fratro has the intention of actually booking a load. They're not just testing the waters to see what rates are or whatever it might be, although that's a nice little convenience feature that comes with using Fratro. But, once people know what Fratro does, they don't ignore us anymore. In fact, I have my phone turned over upside down right now because I don't want it distracting me. But if I flip it over, I bet I've got 40 missed calls right now from potential customers or customers that have started using it recently or whatever it might be. I mean, it's really encouraging.
Man, I just had something pop into my head. You feel free to use this, but I got a great analogy here to sum up the main topic, and we'll move into the final little bit. Is man, Matt, you went from collecting fans to collecting customers, man. You're using those same things, the same tools that you would on a team, right? That you are with Fratro. You gotta stack up the roster. You gotta get wins. You gotta have players that people want to come see, and you gotta give them a show. Give the people what they want. And you're doing the same thing with Fratro, right? Like, you're stacking the roster. You're putting winners on there. You put players that show up every day, have the dedication, they have the loyalty, and they are taking and they're selling that service to your prospects and bringing out customers. Boom, freaking mic drop. I'll send that to you, man, and you can use that in your sales product. So, all right, final thing I want to talk about is wanted to end it on get a little personal, getting into some hobbies and things that you're in, and segue I want to use into this is I don't know how I overlooked and saw when I was doing research into you that you are a lefty. And all three of my sons played baseball, all played up through high school. We did the travel league, dude. I probably still have I've got thousands of dollars of batting gear sitting in a locker in my garage right now. I wish I would have known this so we could have talked about this struggle, because being a lefty in baseball, man, it is a struggle. It's a hard thing. Like I said, there's only certain positions that you can play, that they want you to play. And like all of my sons, wanted to be catchers. That's what their thing was, or they wanted to be basemen, and they were good at it. My middle son was actually a switch hitter. He could do either one, and it threw batters off all the time. And he was this little kid, man. It was great. But I saw them go through those struggles, and that also comes into, where you're at as an entrepreneur as well. But what I want to move this into is one of your things that you told us in your guest intake form that you currently do is you're still involved in youth baseball, man, and in building up young players and helping them accumulate the skills and the mentality and all the things that they need to, progress in their career as an athlete, to wherever they want to take it, man. So would love to dig into that. And I guess kind of I bet what you're going to say is like baseball just never leaves you. But what is your pull towards helping the little ones, man? Is it to just what is your pull to it? Give us it all.
So when I was coming up through high school and trying to figure out how to find college offers and get scholarships, all that stuff. This was before social media was a thing and tech, perfect. I'm sure if you've got 3 kids that went through the whole travel ball thing, you probably heard of perfectgame.com, right? And, prep baseball report, whatever. None of those things really existed. In fact, Perfect Game, I think, just became a thing when I was like a senior in high school. So it hadn't really picked up any speed, and it definitely helped. In fact, yeah, it helped. Like the perfect, I went to a couple showcases down in like Fort Myers, Florida. But I didn't have anybody giving me any guidance on like, here's what you got to be doing. And honestly, if I wish somebody would have told me like, your sales career starts now when you're 16. You literally have to sell yourself to some of these colleges. You're emailing and making phone calls to colleges and saying, this is who I am. Come see me, right? In fact, when I was in college, when I started to realize like I have to sell myself to these scouts, right? I'm at a Division II school. University of Georgia is a couple hundred miles away. They're going to go see them before they come see Matt Costello at Valdosta State, right? I need to get these guys excited about who I am as a player and all that stuff. And I used to literally make calls to the Marlins and the Twins and the Reds, et cetera. Anybody that left me a business card of theirs in my locker or whatever it might have been, I was going to chase those guys down and make sure they knew who I was before draft day came. And it's funny, the only one I never really did reach out to was the Milwaukee Brewers, and that's who drafted me. So just going through the process and seeing now that it's evolved and there's technology and everybody's got a Twitter handle that they post videos of themselves and tag coaches in it. There's just different ways to get people's attention. And, not every kid has a shot at playing pro ball and they're okay with that, right? They just want to extend their baseball lifespan an extra couple of years and play in college. And, at least this is how it was for me. My buddies from high school, a few of them I'm still pretty close with, but most of my closest friends are the guys that I played college baseball with and, spent the 4 years from age 18 to 22, maybe 23. Those guys are my closest friends now. Right. So like, that's an experience that I want these other kids that might not realize that's a possibility. I like to be able to help those kids get there. You know what I mean? In fact, literally up until a minute before I joined this call, I was on the phone with a college coach talking about a kid that just entered the transfer portal from Georgia Tech, and he's looking for a new home. And this guy is like ready to make this kid an offer. He made me give him his phone number, and he's about to give that kid a call. And yeah, I just whatever I can do to help these kids is. It's not. There's a lot of guys out there that charge a bunch of money to get that kind of guidance. Like I've never asked for a penny for it. I just want to see some of these kids get to where they deserve to be.
Man, that's good stuff, dude. And everything you said is spot on. Man.
I've got an interesting story. This is probably my proudest recruiting, helping, whatever you want to call it, advising moment. Not to interrupt you. I'm sorry to you.
No, brother. No, it's your show.
So there was this was in 2018, back when I had first started with my previous company. I was Saturday morning drinking my coffee, scrolling through Twitter, and I saw some article. Somebody posted something about this kid from Texas Wesleyan College, some NAIA school down in Texas, small school. This kid had hit 25 home runs like 4 years in a row for this college. And he didn't get drafted. This was in June. The draft had just happened and this kid didn't get drafted. And he hit like 450 with 25 home runs like 4 years in a row. So I'm like, this kid must just be a big, fat, out of shape kid that can only hit bombs and he can't run or something. There must be something missing, right? So I started to look him up. I looked him up on Instagram and I'm like, let's see if I can find some videos of like what this kid looks like. I'm expecting to see this. big out of shape kid that must be the reason he didn't get drafted. He's just out of shape or something. Turns out the kid runs like a 6'5", 60, and he looks like Hercules. It's like this kid, why did this kid not get picked up? So not knowing anything else about him, I sent him a message on Instagram and said, hey, if there's anything I can do to help you get a spot in indie ball or picked up or whatever, I have a network. All the guys that I played with are now coaches in the minor leagues or, the college or pro level, whatever it might be. I messaged him and said, hey, I'm sure you're getting a ton of attention from scouts to get picked up as a free agent or whatever it might be, but if there's anything I can do, let me know. And he responded to me and said, I don't have any help. Nobody knows who I am. I go to this small school down in Texas, whatever it might be. So anyway, I'm part of this Facebook group that is, you can't be a part of the group unless you've been drafted by a Major League Baseball team. There's 14,000 guys in the group, and it's a private group, and it's a really cool little networking tool, right? If I'm a real estate agent and I move to a new city and I'm trying to find business, I can post something in that group and say, hey, I'm new to Salt Lake City. I got to, trying to build my business back up or whatever it might be. And people will chime in and just share leads with you. It's a great tool. So I shared a screenshot of this kid's stats in that Facebook group, along with a couple videos of like his stature and all that stuff. And it got a ton of attention among this group. And within 30 minutes of me making this post, I had the Chicago White Sox and a guy from the Angels messaging me saying, hey, like, this is interesting. We're looking for a free agent, signee to play outfield and in single A or whatever it might be. And the Angels ended up signing him because of this, which was pretty cool. His name was Kiki Menendez. If you look him up, Kiki Menendez. He ended up going to rookie ball, hitting like 350 with 10 home runs or 9 home runs or whatever it might be in the Pioneer League, and played a second year in single A and did really well. Ended up getting released, but at least he got a shot, right? He can now live the rest of his life knowing that he got his shot, which is awesome, right? Like, because he deserved it.
That's amazing, man, and that is a very proud moment. And what I was going to say, and it's still relevant now, is the part that you take in helping these kids in their baseball career, Matt, in 10, 15, 20 years, probably going to be doing it for other entrepreneurs, man. Once you build your stuff up, man, because like I can see you have that mentality, brother. You're about helping people, you know what I mean, and sharing knowledge, and that's something else that is real amiss in this industry, and it gets brought up a lot on our show. Is a lot of people are afraid to give you what they would think is the secret sauce. No broker wants to tell you their exact phone script, and no carrier wants to tell other carriers exactly how they got this direct customer. Like everyone just hoards information. And I have a saying, I say it pretty frequently, and it's something my dad told me, is it's what good is having knowledge if you don't share it with anyone? It's wonderful that you fucking know everything, but there's other people that can make use of that knowledge and could very likely do more with it than you, and you could be a part of that in someone else's life. So yeah, that's just what I wanted to end what I had to say on right there.
For sure. Yeah, no, it's, I mean, for me, it's just as joyful to see the folks around me succeeding and getting to where they want to be as it is, myself. So try to be as selfless as possible when it comes to, whether it's in business or athletics, whatever it might be. Right.
Very good character trait to have, my friend. Mr. Hunter, before we do final sponsor break and give a next show kind of stuff, you got anything, man?
No, I mean, Matt, you're an awesome dude, man. Your story's great. What you got going on, Pedro says nothing but great things about it, man. MJ's the homegirl, so team you got, what you're doing, man. And even outside of that, just that story, about those players, selfless acts.
It's funny. I came across MJ. MJ was never, I don't know if she ever became one of my customers at my previous company. I was always calling on MJ. And if you know MJ, she can talk and she's fun to talk to. And, she's got
MJ talk. Come on.
She's got that hardcore Brooklyn accent, but her personality doesn't quite jive with how she sounds on the phone. You'd think she's a mobster when you talk to her, right? But then she's like the sweetest lady in the world. And I always told her, she had hopefully her previous boss isn't listening to this, but she used to.
I hope you are. Hope he is. Screw that guy.
She used to mention to me all the time about how unhappy she was, right? And I'm like, MJ, one of these days I'm going to find a way to help you out. And fast forward a year, I hired her. So pretty cool.
That is cool.
Dude, let me we can actually we'll transition from this, but that right there is going to be one of the best hires you ever freaking made, dude. Period. I'm telling you, just think. I'll give this one example. Just think of how much of her life and how dedicated she was to that freaking dirt bag she was working with. And I know who she worked with. That's how I know MJ is, because she was one of my customers. That guy's a doo-doo head. Mm-hmm. But think about all that she gave him and how badly he treated her and paid her, and look at what you're doing for her, dude. So right. You know what I mean? Just think about that. And I know MJ personally. I mean, we've known her for 4 years. We talk very, very often, and she's just a great human being, and she's very, very loyal. So she's gonna, that's gonna be one of the best hires you ever made, dude. You mark my words right there.
I believe she was the first hire we ever put on our payroll, and I don't, she's a jack of all trades. She's now. At my previous company, they used to say this, I had been there since the beginning at my previous company. And, you get to the point where you know where all the bodies are buried, right? You know how to do everything, right? And that's how she is with Freightro now. It's like, if I need help with onboarding a new customer, or if I need help finding an invoice or whatever, she knows how to find everything now. And I hope she's with us for a long time. She's great.
There Matt is with more of those mobster analogies, talking about buried bodies and dude, it's so great because I'm not going to say her last name, but her last name, and she has family in businesses that are people associate with mafioso, and I'm like, girl, you are a walking freaking stereotype. Yeah. and you moved from the north to the Sunshine State. That's exactly what they do. You were doing everything someone expects a mobster to do.
But Boca Raton. If you're a mobster and you go to Florida, that's where you go.
Exactly, man. Oh man, MJ, if you're watching, we love you, girl. You're a homie of all homies. Matt, we're going to give you a chance to say some final things, and we want you to stick with us. We'll do a final quick sponsor break, tell people what we got coming up for the next show, and then if you want, we'll chill backstage and just do a quick wrap up there, make sure that everything went the way that you wanted. So that said, do you, Matt, have any exiting comments, questions, concerns, updates? Give yourself and your company some plugs, maybe.
No, I mean, I appreciate you guys having me, and there's MJ commenting. I will say this. This is a little fun fact. I'm not sure you're aware, Pedro. I myself, I'm a pretty avid bass fisherman, right? I played a lot of golf growing up and did a lot of bass fishing, but golf was a sport that I was like, I'm so competitive, but I could never get any better than shooting 85, right? And I was like, you know what? When COVID hit, I went and bought a bass boat, and I'm like, I'm gonna fish bass fishing competitions and see if I can win something. And I've gotten my tail kicked doing that too. But we sponsored a guy by the name of Paul Marks Jr. Freightro. If you look him up, he's got Freightro on his shirt, and it's all over his boat. And he just won the Bass Elite Series on Lake Hartwell a few weeks ago, which is pretty cool. And the following week, you'll appreciate this, being a Texas guy. He came in second place on Lake Fork, and he's starting to build a little bit of a name for himself. They've got his next tournament it'll be it's on Fox Sports 1. You'll be able to see it if you can tune in on Saturday and Sunday, not this coming Saturday Sunday, but the following week on Lake Tenkiller in Oklahoma. So tune in for that. If anybody's listening and is interested in that, watch out for Paul Marks Jr. with the Freightro logo all over himself.
Hell yeah. And coming next year, 2026, Boatro, we're going to open up, Matt's going to open up a boat marketplace. You just, man, that's pretty cool, man. Get into fishing, man. You were just, man, you are a man of mystery. You know that?
I was getting tired of him beating up on me in these local tournaments in Georgia, and I was like, you know what? If I can't beat you, I got to team up with you.
There you go, man. That's what you do, bro. That's that winner's mindset right there, man. If you ain't winning, find a way to win, even if it's through helping someone else do it.
Absolutely. But no, I do appreciate you guys having me, and I'll stick around backstage if there's anything else you guys want to go over.
Yeah, cool, brother. Awesome. We appreciate having you on, man. It's been absolute ball. I'm actually glad that we didn't get you on with your cohorts, man, because it gave us this opportunity here to get you on individually and dig in a little bit more about you and also stuff that leads into Freight Trail, so people get to know the man behind Freight Trail and understand that you're a guy who walks the walk, talks the talk, walks the walk. So. With that, everyone, we're gonna do this final spots break, and we'll get out of here. So, common theme throughout tonight was team mentality. We talked a lot about that in building teams, and you want to build yourself a winning team. We've got two great sponsors going to help you do that. First off is Trailer Century. They got some amazing devices help you prevent cargo and asset theft, along with all kinds of other tracking abilities. You can hit them up at 7pgps.com. Make sure you tell them that you heard about it on the Logistics Lounge. And when you're you're a carrier, maybe a shipper, broker, whatever. You're building that winning team. Well, actually, I would just say carriers. I'm sorry. Let me back up. You're a carrier. You're building that winning team. You got all them trucks. You got to have somewhere to park them, somewhere safe, somewhere convenient, somewhere nice, somewhere with some folks that know how to do good business and appreciate the fine men and women out there making this country move. There's no one better than Freight Ninja. You can hit them up, freightninja.com. Use code Lounge Ninja and get yourself some special rates there. Before we finally head out of here, make sure y'all come back Friday. Friday, we have, we're going to have a fantastic show. We have got documentary filmmaker James Year is coming on the show. He was with us about a month ago with Gord. We talked about Trump's thing coming out about the English proficiency test. He just wrapped up a documentary about autonomous trucks and their impact on the industry, and he did it here in Texas. It actually dropped last week, and we're going to have him on, and Justin Martin is going to be on with us as well, and we're going to talk about that documentary and autonomous trucks and the impact that they're going to have on the industry, which we've all much deemed it's negative for the foreseeable future. So make sure you tune into that Friday, 4 p.m. Central. We'll be here to hang with you. As I always say, chunk the deuces, Mr. Hound, roll that beautiful bean footage.
Oh, yeah, Matt, I forgot to tell you, you're now an official Lounge Lizard.
Oh.
Term of endearment, you are welcome on the show anytime you want, brother. Everybody go check out Freight Trail and check out this bean footage.
The views and opinions expressed on this show by its guests are not necessarily those of Lounge Media Group or the show host. So if you sue someone, make sure it's the party responsible for hurting your feelings. Also, grow up, be an adult, and understand not everyone thinks like you. And that's okay.